Okay, it says it's streaming. And the microphone levels showing normal. I have a heater on my feet to warm up my lower extremity. So, this video from me personally is the first and foremost necessity for me to expend my energy about any other matters. So, in other words, nothing else matters if you don't understand this video and what I say in this video. And of course, it's a live stream event, so it'll be recorded later, or I should say, archived after the live stream stops. And all a live stream is a way to interact with other people in real time. That's all it is. So all these programs and platforms are offering live services and live video and anything that'll interact. Hey, thanks. It was always like that. You were always able to interact with a local client to a remote server. However, without getting into the internet and how the internet actually functions, like I'd said a few minutes ago, this is the first and foremost priority of acknowledgement to get past, or at least get past me and giving my time and energy to someone that doesn't understand the human body. I should rephrase that and say someone that doesn't want to understand the human body. Because most people don't understand it. I would say out of 1,000 people, maybe 900 people are, 100 people out of 1,000 would understand their body. So 1 out of every 10 people, which is a really, I'm giving way too much credit about that because I've found very few. They're always arguing about something that they've noticed or observed. They have no concern about their body. Our bodies are a machine. And if you don't like the way I say that, I'm sorry, because your electric is what runs a machine, just like you see around you in reality. Well, your body has electric. So I learned this very young by, walking across some carpet and then touching somebody else or some kind of a metal, and then of course, you get an electric spark. So that was my first clue. And I was only, I would have to guess, just a small creature at that time. So maybe 4, 5, 6 years of age, according to the Gregorian calendar. So I'm going to not stray away from the subject matters, because like I had said, this video is about the human body, and I'm not going to get very much scientific or acting like a know-it-all. And if I appear that way, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not one of those people. I don't worry about impressing other people. As soon as I start to feel myself want to impress someone, I immediately regain composure and my disposition changes. My demeanor maintains its balance. What I'm doing on this video is document it for other people that have to know what is important to me before I attempt or even want to communicate with them or them me. If they don't understand this, or they don't have a concern, don't want to know this about the human body, then like I had said, I won't give you much time. I will not give you much time at all to, waste my time. I wonder how many people just turned off right now. I'm sure that they did. Someone that doesn't really show a concern or an interest. I think it's not the word concern isn't appropriate. Interest. If they don't have an interest in what you see on the screen, elements found in the human body. So this is what's known as a periodic table that has been reduced to a two-letter definition. As you can see, the green ones, common elements. Those are our common elements. And then, of course, the purple, bluish ones are a trace element. So the common elements and trace elements are very important. And then these other remaining elements, I mean, look, there's a lot of them. The one that's most important, that's why this photo here is easy to remember. It's easy to grasp or comprehend. So you have oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Now, most people don't even know the air that they breathe. And I'm not talking about what's in the air. That's not what this video is about. But they don't know. Most people believe that they breathe more oxygen than nitrogen. And I'm going to show in this video about the facts. Everything that I forecast or display or try to decipher or interpret or tell, I'm not going to sugarcoat it or feed you some kind of line. I'm going to tell you what I learned. And if I learned it and I regurgitate back to you, then that means I've done my homework. So you can guarantee that whatever you do to do your homework, it's going to match what I did. There's nothing worse or a worse feeling than a person that says, oh, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I know how to do this and that, and then when you start getting them to do this and that, they have no idea what they're doing. And of course, you trusted them. You didn't really know what the idea was about, but you trusted them, and then you find out they didn't know anything. So it made your situation worse. So those feelings are not very nice. Deception and betrayal. So this map here, and I'll leave it on the screen. I'll make it full screen. Is the most simplest graphic that you can reference very quickly about your body. This is the most important for all people to learn first and foremost. First and foremost, not foremost in 2 words, foremost. Foremost meaning precedent. It's important, it's beyond important, it's required, it's a necessity, it's a prerequisite to growing up in this existence. And like I'd said, 1 out of 9, or 1 out of 10 people, they know about their body. They understand. They understand their machine. It's a machine because we have electric in it. If there was no electric whatsoever, if there was no electrical charges in the human body, then I wouldn't call our body a machine. And for those of you that can't get through that, you know what? Just turn the video off and go do something else, because like I had said, if you don't have an interest in your own body and your machine, I have absolute zero time for you. So it's important for every body to know what is going on in their machine, what their machine is doing. And it's very, 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 I can't emphasize that word enough, it's very sad to know that, that little color bar at the bottom there, the elementary composition bar, the color chart, the scale, that they take those things, and now each one of those things could be divided into a pill. Different colors, different shapes, thinking that they're going to get well, they're going to get better. That's why I said it's very sad, because they have no interest in knowing about the human body. So now we're at the time where people go to a doctor and they count on or depend on, or i.e., in other words, trust the doctor to know this. Well, guess what? The doctor knows this. A physician, anyone that practices medicine, that this is like the first page on the book. The book of medicine. This is the cover. This is the inside cover. This is the back page, the front page, and the back cover. They know this. They also know about that color scale at the bottom there with the pills and the prescriptions. So when you start popping, you start putting in some of those medicines in your body, and let's say it changes the effects, as they say, I'm not talking about side effects, I'm talking about the effects of your elemental composition, your chemistry as a person, as a creature, as a live organism. say your calcium. Oh no, let's just use sodium, because sodium is salt. So you got 0.2%. You don't even have a half of a percent. So 0.2, you have a quarter of 1%. And sodium, let's look at the trace element chart. Trace element, common elements are the ones that we see. We got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. They say 11. So let's see what we got here. We got 6 and 12. So other doesn't count, so there's 11. So here's the common elements. The common sodium, common. I mean, if you don't have at least 0.2 sodium in your body, you're not even alive. You have to have some salt. So you see how it's important, and how literally, and you might not want to hear this, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. It's extremely dangerous to start popping candy, you know, the prescriptions, and then playing chemistry with your body. And then you knock one of these values off of the minimum. Minimum meaning if your sodium goes to 0.001, that means your sodium, your salt, is so low that your other functions are going to really be out of tune. In other words, you're going to have something wrong with you. Same thing with, say, nitrogen. So if you were to take, say, 5 different medications and the nitrogen gets knocked off by 1%, so you're at 2.2% nitrogen instead of 3.2, then you're going to have something wrong with you. I'm sure most of you can understand where I'm going with this. So if you take, say, a pill to do something like help you go to sleep, and then while you're sleeping, that chemistry affects you very differently from anyone else, because your numbers are not the same as everyone else. And your chlorine goes up. So you got chlorine 0.2, sodium 0.2, sulfur 0.2. So you offset your chlorine by helping you sleep with some pill, and it messes up your chemistry. So the next day you wake up with something wrong with you. You know, if you don't know your body, you don't know your machine, if you don't have a concern, you know, I mean, an interest. See, I'm correcting myself. Concern is not really relevant. That's not the right word. If you don't have an interest in your own body, how can you have a concern about anything going on in this existence? And I don't really care what it is. There's no really about it. I do not care what you say if you don't have an interest in your body. In other words, if you don't take care of your body, then how can you take care of anything else? There's no way. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to constantly be in a chaotic frequency. I don't know how many people understood what I just said, but I don't think that's a lot to ask of a human being to show an interest in their machine. And remember, there's electric in it. So our bodies are very, very delicate. If you can't tell by the numbers that you see on the screen, these common elements, we're not even talking about the trace elements yet. And then the remaining elements are the ones that are really dangerous because, you start messing around by taking, say, something to go to sleep, and then something to get rid of your skin rash, and then something to get rid of your fungus on your toenails. And then guess what? For the next 3 years, you're going to develop all these different problems because you completely disrupted your chemistry flow, the flow of energy in your body, about balancing all the numbers that you see on the screen. So let's use these 3 medications that I just said for case in point. So to go to sleep, you took a pill. To get rid of the rash, you took a pill. To get rid of the fungus in your toenails, you took a pill. Right. So the people that do that, and then for the next 2 or 3 to 5, 10 years, they have problems. And not just problems, they have some major problems. And they start thinking, well, it's the chemtrails. It's the food. Oh no, it's the water. You see what I'm saying? And it's none of those things. Sure, all those things could be possibly happening, and they are happening. It has nothing to do with that person that took those 3 medications for those 3 problems that they were having. And then they pay the price for years in the future. And in all honesty, because I really value integrity the very most above anything, integrity. In all honesty, that person really, they got what they deserved because they had no interest in their body. They didn't bother to go get a blood test to find out, all these elements and what their blood test scores and readings were. They didn't go get a blood test report is like taking a chemistry report of your body, and hardly anyone does it. But yet they're an expert about everything else. Maybe just one thing. They're an expert in, say, aerodynamics, or they're an expert in engineering, whatever the industry in engineering would be. But yet they have no interest in their body because guess what? You can look at them and tell. The thing about it is when you get around the 9 people out of the so 100 people out of 1,000. So when you're around the 900 people that have no interest in their body, none, 0, and each one of them have their own focus. This is what they are interested in. It doesn't matter what it is. I would suggest for you, and I'm just trying to help you, I would suggest for you to give them the least amount of time according to what they're playing their harp about. It doesn't matter what it is. In other words, they're an expert in their field. Say they're an expert in food. So you listen to what they have to say about food, then you totally dismiss them. Or they are an expert in landscape, plants and, agriculture or something like that. You listen to what they have to say about it. You absorb their information, their expertise, and then you turn and walk away. You never give them the time of day ever again. Why? Well, and I'm not being ugly by saying this. I really am not. I know a lot of people are going to go, who are you to say this and say that? Well, if you don't have an interest in your body, I say this. That person that educated you on agriculture, they've done a great service. They grew crops, they feed people, and you look at them and you can tell that they don't even care about their own body. So I won't even use adjective to describe the person. However, it's so obvious. So 900 people out of 1,000 have no interest in their body. And that's very sad. Because if you don't know who to keep, paying attention to, there you go, paying attention to, in other words, giving your time and your energy to, then they literally, your life will be stripped away and robbed. From the time that people take from you, because they have no interest in the absolute amazing way that our bodies are built, are formed, are fashioned, are created. For me, I learned this at a young age because I was forced to. Meaning, I was told I had all these different problems, and then I went and did my homework. I went and did my research, and I wanted to know why they were saying this, and then I knew it. I thought, well, I need to find out how my body is created. Let's go find out what they found out about the human body and what its makeup is. What does it include? Look at all this. People go, oh no, sulfur's bad for you. You'll hear it. Oh, sulfur's bad. It stinks. It smells like rotten eggs. Well, guess what? You're made of it. People are like, oh no, the chlorine in the pool, it was too much. It bothered me. It irritated me. Well, guess what? You're made of chlorine. And I'm sure there's someone out there that would say, oh well, there's hardly any chlorine. Look, it's 0.2. I know, but the fact is that you're made of chlorine. So when you get around chlorine, and chlorine is strong for you, in other words, you can tell, because you don't have everyone around the pool complaining about the damn chlorine. There's only usually one or two people that it will affect, or they will say something about it. And do you know why that there's only one or two people? Because it's showing itself. It's showing who's either lacking chlorine or they have too much chlorine. The same thing with sodium. That's salt, 0.2. You have people that go to the oceans and they say, oh no, the water is too salty, or it affects them different than it affects everybody there. And here's the sad part, is that these people They actually think something's wrong with them. They'll make up fairy tale things. And then what's really, really sad is the doctor, again, knows these elements. They'll just make up something. Here, prescribe this. Go get this. Because if they give you this, if they know that you're low on sodium or you have a potassium deficiency, then they do something that'll offset that. So next year or 2 years later, guess what? You'll end up growing something in your body. And of course, we all know what things are that grow in our bodies, what they're called, right? Can you, sir? Can you, sir? Can, sir? Can you can the sir? So this video is very important to me that I wanted to make and create and get out there so it could get copied and viewed and hopefully get people to understand that, you know, this creation's not a joke. This existence, this absolutely brilliant, beautiful, amazing place is not a joke. You spend half your time here and you spend half your time somewhere else. And just to make that very clear, what that means is that when you close your video cameras, that means your eyes, and for the people that cannot see this existence, when they close their eyes, they go into sleep, just as you and me and everybody. So you spend half your time there, and you spend half your time here. And you don't have an interest in your body, your machine, what you were created with, what you were given. So here's your atom story. So you have the structure of a carbon atom. Now this is as microscopic as the human being has able to achieve. They're not, as a matter of fact, they're smashing these. And a lot of people know what I'm referring to. You know, they're smashing all these atoms around and electrons, trying to figure it out. They're trying to come up with something different. They're actually playing with the actual energy that created this existence. This whole existence, everything here, that includes animals, plants, birds, air, sky, stars, moon, sun, everything in your mind, including, is made from these. And of course, this is a photo, a picture that they describe it as, you know, what an atom, you know, the structure of an atom. So I brought this up on the screen to say, well, you don't have an interest in what the energy is. What is the energy source that creates this place? Now, I don't have the photo up right now, but I do have a photo, meaning a picture, an image of a super microscopic view that was, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was photographed with a laser lens, you know, to capture what, you know, an actual picture of a atom. Like I said, I don't have it right now. It looks pretty much like a cartoon character with these different colors spreading out and merging. Isn't the human body fascinating to you? So this is kind of blurry here. This is pretty much the same chart as this chart here, because like I'd said, this chart here is the best one to use as a screensaver or background or cover or something like that, so people can understand that when they take a pill, that it's going to affect them when, maybe right then, maybe the next day, maybe 5 days later, maybe a year later. If you don't know your balancing point for your body, for your machine, in other words, you don't take care of your machine. And yes, there are so many people out there. This goes with that group of 900. They take better care of their car or their computer or their bicycle, whatever, than they do with their body. And when I run across those people and they're an expert in, say, whatever field, doesn't matter. They could be an expert anything else, and it's obvious when you look at them or the things they tell you what's wrong with them that they have no interest. They would rather play on people's sympathy. Oh, I have this wrong with me. I have that wrong with me. I don't feel this way. I don't feel that way. This is what's going on with my body. But look how shiny my car is. Look at my new entertainment center. I give those people about maybe 30 seconds to 60 seconds. It could be longer. But as I mentioned before, I give them very little time, and I don't really give them too much more time after that. If you can't take care of your body, your machine, how are you supposed to do anything else? I've been involved with many of you that show so much interest in, say, being a realtor. They want to teach you how to sell houses, teach you how to sell real estate. And yet every time you go to the appointment or the classes, these people are coming back or going to a doctor's appointment because there's something wrong with them. And you can be guaranteed that when they do show up, they're going to tell you what's wrong with them. They're going to say, "Oh, well, I'll be okay. So let's go ahead and sell some real estate, eh?" It's easy to spot these people. It's easy. There's always some kind of health problem. Now, one observation that I notice is that the people that have problems, they don't have an interest in their body. They have no concern. They think, they believe, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, that they think that we breathe more oxygen than anything. And that's not the case. So you got 62% water that the human body contains. Then you got 16% fat. So these are the balanced numbers. So you have to maintain 16% body fat. Why did I mention that? I'm just about positive you know why I mentioned that. And that has to be the most saddest fact on the observation of a person when you can tell instantaneously what they're really interested in. What am I alluding to? Well, if they got more than 16% fat, they don't really care about anything. They definitely do not care about themselves. Because if they did, they would have their blood report with all these elements analyzed. They would look at what their machine, their body is doing. You know, you got tires now on vehicles, instead of putting air, oxygen in the tires, they put nitrogen in the tires. Well, as you can see on the screen, 3.2% nitrogen. So you're riding around with nitrogen. I wonder how many people, and I'm sure there are, and it is sad. It's actually a disgrace, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is a disgrace. You got people riding around in cars with more nitrogen. In other words, the proper balance of nitrogen. That means the tire pressure, let's just say for argument, 50% nitrogen. 50 psi pressure, and okay, the screen popped off for just a second there. They have 50% pressure in their tires and it's filled with nitrogen, so that means it's balanced. So they have enough nitrogen in their air pressure in their tires, and they're riding around in their car. Guess what? They're going to a doctor to find out what's wrong with them, and it just so happens to be that their nitrogen is not balanced. I wonder how many of them are out there. Or I could use this case in point. There's cars out there that run off hydrogen, the hybrids. I wonder how many of them go to their doctor and they have a hydrogen problem. Oh, their car's fine. They have enough. They have enough fuel. Oh, here's another. These are the disgrace examples that I'm. Here's the last one that I'll say. The third one, chlorine. Oh yeah, their pool and their spa and their hot tub, all the chlorine levels are absolutely perfect. They're balanced out. It's safe to swim. But yet they're taking medication because of a chlorine deficiency or a chlorine excess. Some kind of ailment that has to do with chlorine. Isn't that a shame? Isn't that an absolute disgrace? All those examples are true. Case in points that people do not have an interest in their body and their machine. They don't have an interest in how their body functions and to be healthy, because that is the greatest gift to have. The most valuable to have is your health. Everyone says that. They always say that. Oh, I'm blessed to be healthy, when they do feel good. Because there's, out of those 900 people, you got they're feeling good 1 or 2 days out of the month. And then they start saying, oh yeah, I'm blessed to be healthy. It's a good thing. Because it feels good. It feels good. So I stress to people when I first encounter them is what their interest is, their vested interest in their own body. Before I start listening to them talk about anything else, sure, I'll get their point of view about a certain subject matter, no matter what it may be. It could be anything. If it doesn't have to do with the body and how their bodies are created, and they don't give me time about that, then how much time do you think I give them about whatever they're running their mouth about? Because if they're running their mouth about something and they don't have an interest in their own body, then that right there tells me everything. And what does it tell me? It tells me that they are working through their own battle with the relationship. The relationship to whatever created this whole existence, that's what. So it's very obvious to see, I'm going to direct this at the people that need to know. And it'll hurt. No doubt it's going to hurt. But if you don't care about your body, Oprah updating, GGG. See that just popped on my screen? OPP, yeah, you know me. That's just a flag thing that I have in the background that monitors the system, what it's doing. This is like your system. Your body is your system. It's your machine. Sure, I've learned computer science. Computer science, that's funny. So you people really, really, really need to understand what you're looking at on the screen. Go get a blood report. Go get an analysis. It would be worth everything that you got to find out. Because once you find out your numbers, then you can balance out your body. You can fine-tune your machine. And guess what? Instead of 1 or 2 days out of the month, you feel great. You feel great every day, every present. Because that's what I call a day, a present. The calendar, the most popular calendar is the Gregorian calendar. That's made up from human beings. And if you don't understand the concept of you get a present, the past, the present, and the future. So the present is now. And you get one when you open your eyes, your camera, or you become consciously alert and you're back in this place. You only live half the time here and half the time there. And that's your present. You need to pay attention to your machine so you feel healthy, so you feel great, so you feel good. So you don't get caught up in learning that relationship connection again and having some great mission, but yet you neglected your machine, what you were given. You were transplanted here as a spiritual being to observe this existence in hopes that you would learn or have an interest in your being, in your body. First and foremost. Don't be like those 900 anymore. I foresee the future as it flipping around that 900 people now know about their body. So out of those 900 people, just about every one of them, they don't get sick and they don't have problems. And when you don't get sick and you don't have problems, you don't have things growing in you, then guess what? Life is really nice. It's very enjoyable. It's pleasurable. Then you can actually become an observer. in this existence. Then you can show a concern with a moral or altruistic subject. And there's a lot of them. There's many, many, many subject matters that we all are going to focus our energies on. And you have to be one of those people that has an interest in your body before you can do such a thing. Before you can change such a lie, you have to stop lying to yourself and learn your machine. You need to take care of your machine. You need to wax your machine. You need to wash your machine. You need to take care of your machine. And by all means, tell other people about this. This image that you see, I have there's the whole picture right there. I believe I got this from maybe Wikipedia or one of the medical dictionaries. I'm not sure. They all match as far as the numbers. So this is a good image for people to understand very quickly, what they need to know. You don't want to know more than you need to, because then you won't remember anything and it won't work right. This is what you need to know right here. Every human being, this element chart applies to. Doesn't matter what color skin. Don't start talking to me about skin coloring. Okay, if there's one thing that just absolutely shows a person's ignorance, is when they start talking about skin coloring. If you don't know, if you couldn't feel my tone vibration, I would suggest you to never, ever, ever talk to me about skin coloring, okay? Actions speak louder than words. Have an interest in your body. Tell other people about it, about getting the blood report. Find out what kind of elements, if they have trace elements, if they have any one of these remaining elements. Like if you were to get a report and then any one of these remaining elements are in your report, then you have some major problems. You get a element that's higher than your common element, and you're probably sitting in a hospital room. So like I mentioned, the doctors are very well aware of this chart about the basics, the fundamentals, if I could use that word, of the chemistry, the makeup of the human body. It's your machine. Take care of it more than you do your vacuum cleaner or your boat or your whatever. If you don't, then life is not going to be very fun for you. And I'll stop the video by saying I'm really, kind of like fed up with you people complaining about what's going wrong and what's going on with your body, and you don't feel good and this and that and this and that, and then you try to sell me something, say you're in business doing something. You think I'm going to do business with someone that can't even take care of their body first? That's why the business The business now, the economy, the way the business model's functioning, that's why it's so corrupt, is because you're dealing with people that they don't even know how to take care of their own body, but yet they're selling all these products. They have this great service. You know, the chaos and the disturbance in the environment, that means the business relationship. You know how much problems that causes in the future. Oh yeah, you think it's all great, you know. Oh, no wonder why they went out of business. The person running the business, they were spending $10,000 a month just for medications, just to stay alive. I mean, you didn't know that. You just got hired from them. You didn't have no idea about what was going on with them. Well, if you're tuned in to your own body, then everybody that you see, you will be able to decipher. You will be able to discern how credible, what their integrity score could be. It's going to be nice when you're dealing with people that care about themselves first before they care about how much business they produce. This is the most important subject to me. I'm one of the 2 alive, lasting founders of Systems D. And it says on the screen, you are viewing in real-time live RTL with me with zero doubt of integrity. Connections is real equals us. It's not a geo place. Well, that's a totally different subject matter. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of matters, a lot of subjects that we have to straighten out and iron out. I personally do not communicate very long with people that cannot take care of their body. If they show an interest in their body, then it reflects from their business. It reflects in their business. In the same sense, if they don't take care of their body, it shows in their business, and then it rubs off on you and me, because like I had mentioned earlier, they can't even take care of their own tree. So then they cause problems for you and me. Pass this information, this video, on to other people so they can at least see the charts. They can do the homework assignment that I put in this video. And the homework assignment, just so you know, is for you. You go get a blood test. You get an analysis of your elements. You ask them to give you a printout and then go out there in the world and balance your chemistry. And no matter where you go, no matter where you're at, you're going to feel great. You're going to feel wonderful. You're not going to start making excuses and believing in fiction about things that are wrong with you. Or, here's the greatest part of all, when you really are balanced out as a being, the entity in you, the creature in you, the beauty in you, which in all reality is gratefulness. A grateful being sees beauty, and they are very aware of fiction. So we live in a time now, on this date of the year, Gregorian 2018, It's May the 3rd. A lot of people are collectively, consciously aware in real time live. So a lot of things are changing very quickly. We are getting things done. So take care of yourself. And you take care of others by telling them what I just told you. And I end the video by saying, I hope you always are on love speed.